Before we dive right in, let's get a little bit more comfortable with our various data sets here. So the first piece of data that was given to us is a list of departments and each department's respective function code. So for example, if I was in the cost accounting department, this would be my function code. Function codes can be used to numerically track where we're charging different costs to. And we can kind of see that being done here in data set number 2. In data set number 2, we see that there are order numbers given to us. And there's a lot of order numbers, I should say. A lot. Actually, let's just scroll. 540 orders. And we have these 5-digit function codes again. And then we have the cost per order, right, for that particular month. Now, when we're taking a look at this particular data, we see that the orders obviously collect function numbers because it's a lot easier for an employee to plug in a 5-digit function number than to be relied upon to type in their department letter by letter so that the data is all consistent, right? So this is the way that this particular report is provided to us. Okay. So what we're going to have to do here is the first thing that we really want to do is we want to use a pivot table to determine the total cost of printing for each department function code, right? So it might not be super clear. Well, actually, this one's clear here. We can see here that 2 orders have the same function code, which means that 2 people in department 25301, they placed order this period, and they probably placed a lot more, right? Here's another one from department 25301. So what I want to do is I want to very quickly and easily pull the total cost for each function number. Yeah, you could go ahead and do it manually, but obviously with over 500 entries, that would be a little time consuming. So what we do is instead is we are going to create a pivot table. Now, in order for us to do a pivot table, the first thing we need to make sure we do is insert a row and have titles. If your data does not title each column, you're not going to be able to do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and label these. We're going to need order number. We'll call this department function code, and then we'll call this order cost. All right. And you could pretty that up, but we're just using this as data input. This isn't going to be our output. So I'm fine just leaving those, not bolding them, not centering. It's fine. Okay. Now, in order to do our pivot table, we're going to go to the Insert tab, and we're going to click on this pivot table icon. And Excel is usually pretty good about this, but you always want to check it. Table/range. We want to make sure that it pulled the appropriate range. Usually it's fine, but every once in a while it might be blank. You might have to grab it yourself. That's just a click and drag to select it all. Or you can manually type it, but that's tedious. And then we have to decide if we want it in a new worksheet, that's like a new tab, or if we want to keep it in the existing one and just have it off to the side. In our instructions, it did say to do it in a new tab. So I want a new worksheet. I'm going to click OK. All right. And now we can see here that we have a brand new tab. I'm going to relabel that. Okay. And now this is where my pivot table is going to go. Now it wants me to find the total cost that was charged to each department function code. So whatever we're going to do here is we have to decide what we want our rows to be, right? So here are the different various options. I would say, and this might just be from my personal experiences, but usually the most commonly used fields would be rows and then some values, right? So our row is going to be our department function code. And now we'll see here that, and if we go ahead and let me bring this down a little bit just to show you. Drag. If I select all of these down here, right? And I see there's 50 of them. And if I go back to my data set and I drag up, I see that there's 50 of those. So what this did was it put into each row each department function code that was used during the month and it did not repeat any of the numbers, right? You can even actually see it. The pivot table will automatically usually put things in alphabetical order, or in this case, numerical order. So it sorts it almost. All right, our next item that we want to do is we want to know what the total cost that was charged for each function number, right? So click onto our pivot table to bring our boxes back. And so we want to know order cost, drag down here. And you notice that the default is the sum, right? So this is actually giving us exactly what we wanted. We're seeing here that, I don't remember exactly which one. Was it 25106? I think so. We see here that, maybe it was 25301. I don't know. My brain not working today. We see here that Department 25106 charged a total of $2,926 during the month of January, right? So that gave us what we want. But just to kind of explore this a little bit more, if you click the little drop down and click Value Field Settings, it's all the way at the bottom, might be a little cut off on my screen. You can change this to count, right? So you can see how many orders they placed during the period, right? We could change this to average if we wanted to see the average print order cost, right? So there's a lot of different kind of tools that we could use in order to pull data or pull information from data. So I'm going to fix that to sum. That'll sum up the total amount of each of those costs for each data item automatically for us, which is really nice, right? And we could say, oh, we're done here. But the only thing that's kind of an issue here is it's not super clear what each department is, right? For example, I have function codes in my job. I know my 2 function codes. And if I was a dean, I wouldn't remember every single function code for every single department that I overlooked automatically, right? And also, I wouldn't want to just kind of be going down this list and trying to figure it out. So what we're going to do is we are going to now take the data we have here. Let me actually go ahead and copy it. I'm going to take this data, get a new tab. And what I want to do is I want to return over here the name of all of these departments. And we can do this using the VLOOKUP tool, right? Now, there are a few rules with the VLOOKUP tool. What we're going to do is we are going to tell Excel, hey, Excel, whatever number is over here, I want you to take a look at what I have over here and return the appropriate department for me. So it's kind of like a search and look tool for you. Now, the one rule is, when you are using this, the first column of whatever data array that you select has to be the number that you are referencing initially here. So like if I'm saying, hey, Excel, look for 15389, that 15389 has to be in the first column. It can't be in the second. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to move this over one. So I need the function code first, and that way I can tell Excel, pull whatever the result is, right? And a lot of times you can have very large tables that expand multiple columns. And I'll show you why this is important to know once we plug in that formula. So let's go back to sheet 2. All right. And now we are going to, right over here, because I think it would make sense to have the department name, the function code, and then the total amount. We're going to do equals VLOOKUP, open parenthesis. And now whenever you have this information, it's going to try to guide you. So if you've done this a couple times, usually it will help, right? So the first thing they're saying, hey, what's the lookup value? I want you to look up this, okay? And then I'm going to put in a comma, and it's going to lead me to my next one. Well, what table do you want me to look at? So we're going to go back to dataset 1, and we are going to select that entire table, right? I'm going to click enter just so it brings me back to that main one. But then also one thing that's going to, let's put it in here just like this for now, and I'll show you why we have to make adjustments to this in a second. There's actually 2 main adjustments we're going to have to think about. And then the comma, And then the third item that we want to say that they're asking for here is column index number. And what they're saying is, well, what column do you want us to return from your table array once we have found your lookup value? And so if we go back to data set 1, which we'll have to delete that in a second. If we go back to data set 1, I know that I grabbed these 2 columns all the way down. So column 1 is my lookup value always, and I only have 2 columns. So I'm going to tell it, oh, I want you to return column 2 for me, right? But if this was a much bigger table array, it could be, oh, I want you to return whatever is in column 8 for me instead. And that's what that value is here. Let's go back to sheet 2, getting rid of that fun stuff that it added in. And I'm going to type in a 2 to say, hey, yeah, when you're in my table array, grab the second one. All right, let's start with this, and I'll show you why we have to do some fixes. Okay. So notice first off that it's giving us a little, yeah, I don't have anything here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use that 4th item. Usually if something is in brackets, it means that it's not required, but in this case, yeah, you're going to have to do it. We don't want an approximate match. We want it to be an exact match. There we go. And now once we do that, we see, oh, compliance and risk management. Let's go to our table. And let's look for 15389. Control F, 15389. There it is, compliance and risk management. Okay, we're feeling good. We're almost done. Let's drag it down. Uh-oh, we're having more issues. And the reason why we're having issues is if we click on this first one, it's B2 to C51 on the other tab. So it really should be B2 and C51 all the way down, but it's not. What it's doing is it's going down with you as you go. So we're going to have to do one more fix, and that is absoluting this. And what an absolute does is it says, hey, as I drag down the formula, don't change where my reference cells are. So if you have, I don't know about Macs, but if you have a regular Windows PC, you can just click F4. I'm pretty sure it works on Macs too. You guys can find out for me. Nosy. There we go. So now we see that we have these dollar signs. You may have learned a little bit about this in your Excel class or maybe your management information systems class. But this here, these are going to absolute these cells. So as you drag down, it stays. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click because I just want to check a few more. Let's check e-commerce 54679. E-commerce. Good. Now it looks like it's working. All right. A double click on that little fill handle item there. When you get that black plus sign, we'll usually bring it all the way down to the bottom of your table. But you can always click and drag. All right. So a few more things that we want to do. I want to sort this by the department that spent the highest amount to the lowest amount. So I'm going to give this some labels. Department, we'll call it function code. And then order cost. All right, and this is going to be my final report. So I'm going to make this look real nice. So actually, let me drag this up so you can see all the things. So I bolded it, centered it. I'm going to use this wrap text for this little function code thing. There we go. I'm going to insert a title. Printing cost by department. I'm gonna actually add a second one here, and I'm going to say January. Give it a little pizzazz. Okay, it's starting to look like an actual report. And then last but not least, I want to sort all of my data. There's my headers. I want to sort all my data from highest to smallest or lowest. So I guess smallest works too. Easiest way to do that, in my opinion, is to go to data, filter. People have their own ways of doing these. This is one that's always my favorite though, because I can kind of play around with it. And once you have a data filter, You're going to select sort largest to smallest, and then it'll give you the most expensive one. So here we see that administration spent the most, then brand management, then e-commerce, then public relations, so on and so forth. Then your last step, which you should always do whenever you're dealing with Excel, is to label your tab. And probably if I was going to deliver this to somebody, I'd probably pull this out and have it on its own. But if not, if I was like, oh, well, I kind of want them to have the data along with it, I would go ahead and move that tab to the very front. Just click and drag it over. That way you have it. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Good job, everyone.